Day 93 under the dome. With necessities growing dangerously low, who knows what spark will set off this powder keg?
Okay, let's discuss Tuesdays with Maury.
Again? If we don't get a new book, I'm going to puke.
You're the 5 people I'm going to meet in hell! We're out of coffee!
So, what's up everyone? Welcome to another day of quarantine where you try to find stuff to keep you entertained, like playing some board games, video games, try to find something on Netflix to keep stuff going crazy. So anyways, yeah, this episode is going to be just once again giving updates on probably the coronavirus stuff, and it's going to be brief, and then answer the age-old question, which is better, Marvel or DC? My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Reading Show, Quarantine Edition. Alrighty guys, so welcome. Yeah, hope everyone is doing alright today, and like staying safe and everything. Yeah, this as the thing continues to spread, and I bet a lot of y'all are probably going crazy being stuck in your house, but oh well. I mean, yeah, not much you can do about it. I mean, hopefully where you at, you can still go outside, go to parks or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have my truck here, and then there's not a lot of parks around me that are open, but we're still allowed to go out. But anyways, yeah, let's as far as like updates is what's going on with the coronavirus. I mean, of course, you know, stuff has increased since yesterday and all that. Just, you know, number of cases and number of people who have recovered, number of people who have died have increased from it. So it's not, but it's other than that, it's not much different at all. It just, I mean, it seems like the models so far have been yeah, that's one thing that has changed. The models so far, it seems like it's starting to change. Because originally, the peak date was supposed to be like April 23rd. That's where it originally was set, and that's why President Trump extended the guidelines until April 30th. But basically now the estimated peak day right now is actually April 16th, so it actually is actually much earlier, which is good. The earlier the better, honestly. So I mean, and we could see throughout this week that it could come back even earlier. So I mean, as early as Easter, maybe. So, and hopefully, and apparently what's going to happen after that, once it hits its peak, I mean, you know, it rose very fast, but thankfully it's going to fall just as fast. Like the number of cases is going to fall just as fast, the number of deaths each day is going to fall just as fast, so that's going to be all good then. So we should see a very speedy recovery as far as all that, and plus, so after that point, I think after the peak, I think that's when President Trump is going to say, all right, you know, small businesses, restaurants can start opening at their own risk and everything. I mean, the state government's going to start doing under or taking away their stay-at-home order, whatnot. I mean, for Georgia, the Governor Kemp only made it until April 13th. So that's going to end on this coming Monday. So it's going to be interesting what's going to happen with that. But so as far as the other counties here, I mean, I don't know when they're going to end, but I'm pretty sure they're going to end not too far behind when the whole state ends their stay-at-home order. So, which is really a good thing. I mean, again, we can't stay under these circumstances for too long. So hopefully other state governments will follow suit. I'm guessing most of the state governments will, you know, follow suit. You know, alleviate their stay-at-home orders. At least I hope they do. I mean, places I'm worried about are definitely, you know, California, New York, definitely. What else? Definitely a lot of the upper, kind of the coastal states, definitely. Maybe maybe Virginia, too. I mean, those places are they're at most risk to keeping that lockdown for indefinitely for some reason. Even if the entire country becomes out of the lockdown, the states could possibly stay in there, but we'll see. And we'll see what happens with there. So, hopefully, those states will like follow suit with other places to alleviate this lockdown. But other than that, I mean, there's not much going on with the coronavirus as far as like big updates. I mean, it's just same as usually been. There's just a lot of stuff happened at once, so it's hard to keep up what's going on. And honestly, I mean, this is the only thing in the news cycle right now. Like seriously, like I each day I forget like there's still a primary election going on. So I mean, seriously, I mean, as of right now, Biden's still in the lead as far as delegates are concerned, so he's still likely to be the nominee. But I mean, honestly, like I remember just a few weeks back, we were like, oh, that's what we focused on, just the primary election, who's going to be the nominee, like what Bernie needs to do, what Biden needs to do, blah 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 blah. Then all of a sudden, the coronavirus came in, swept over, and now nobody even talks about the primary anymore. Like is that even, I mean, really? I can't remember the last time like the primary thing came up in the news cycle at all. Like it's only been a few weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks, I think. Probably 3 weeks actually, but still it feels like forever. And plus, like as far as the other things, like debates, apparently there's a debate coming up pretty soon between Biden and Bernie, which I mean, it's probably going to just be them on a stage alone. Obviously, you can't have a crowd in there, so I don't know how that's going to work. But apparently, still, elections are still going on. You know, people, going to voting booths and everything. So coming at their own risk and all that. But as well, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just all crazy stuff. Alright, so that's enough coronavirus. So let's this question I posed at the beginning of this episode. So the age-old question: which is better, Marvel or DC? Marvel or DC? I mean, that's a long going debate between people for years. I mean, for a while, I mean, it was just based off the comic books. For a while, I mean, and I haven't read too much into like who receive the better reviews in terms of comic books, like Marvel or DC. But I mean, because I haven't read comic books, honestly. I read on the plots of a lot of comic books, but haven't actually like sat down and read them. But I mean, I don't know if I ever will, because I could easily just find a plot and maybe watch the movies or whatever. But still, it's very, very millennial me right there. But anyways, but in terms of like, where the actual, I think the battle really started getting steam is when the movies came out. And for a while, DC like had Marvel in the bag. Like honestly, Marvel didn't have any good shows or movies in terms of that. And then DC obviously had Superman the movie with Christopher Reeves. See Batman with several Batmans. We have like several Batmans throughout 60s to 80s and all that. and obviously Marvel didn't have anything. I mean, they had like Captain America show, a Spider-Man show, live action show, which was kind of weird, a Hulk show. So I mean, there just wasn't much. And then along came X-Men not too long in the 90s at some point, which received like better, which it did up the popularity a little bit for Marvel. But the popularity for Marvel didn't like officially rise up until Spider-Man in 2002 with Tobey Maguire. So I mean, from then on, that was just a constant battle and everything. So, and for my opinion about this whole thing, which is better, Marvel or DC? And over the time, I mean, it's becoming harder to figure out. But I still go with Marvel. Mostly because Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my favorite comic book superhero. I mean, I grew up with the Tobey Maguire movies. So that was my first introduction to superheroes, and everything. And then, obviously, I mean, I grew up with watching the Christopher Reeves one too, but it's mostly the Spider-Man ones I grew up with. So that's why I'm a big Marvel fan. And obviously, in my opinion, the Marvel movies are just top-notch all the way through, from Iron Man to Avengers Endgame, or Spider-Man Far From Home and everything. So, I mean, yeah, as far as that, I'm still Marvel of DC. But that's not to say I don't like DC. I still love DC in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, the movies are underrated in my opinion. At least the newer movies, like Superman Returns, I've really liked. The DC movie universe, I really love those movies. Like Man vs. Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. I love all those movies. And it is unfortunate that they haven't taken the time to really develop the characters in that series, in that universe. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's where they hurt themselves. I think they rushed it too much to actually be like Marvel. So what they should have done is Batman. I mean, the Man of Steel. Batman vs. Superman was really good. I think was a really good sequel to that, because it did introduce Batman. So that was the introduction to Batman, and then so he didn't really need his own solo movie. And then you have Superman. Superman kind of is Superman sequel, Man of Steel sequel. So I mean, that was all good. And then they kind of introduce some of the Justice League members. But what they should have done after that is they started doing it good. They started with Wonder Woman. And they should have gone to The Flash, Cyborg, and then Aquaman. Is that it? Yeah, just those three movies. Introduce each one of them, kind of their origin story and everything, and then have the Justice League movies. So it's that build up into having the group together. That's what Marvel did. That's what Marvel did right, because they had Iron Man, and then they introduced Hulk, and then they introduced Thor after Iron Man 2. And then Captain America, and then all brought those characters together for the Avengers, which was a big deal when that came out. I remember when that was first coming out, everybody made a big deal. Was super excited about that too, and it really did awesome in the box office too. So that's good as well. And so. I mean, that's where I think DC should have done right there. They hurt themselves trying to rush it too much. But I mean, that's just turning movies. In terms of the shows are fantastic. DC has done their shows very well. They handle their shows like Marvel handle their movies. So the best parts really. Obviously the best kind of DC shows out there right now. I mean, that's the kind of the DC universe. Then things like Swamp King or Titans and all that. I mean, those are good for those. They're okay. I've seen the first episode each, and they're okay. I'm not a big fan of those, but definitely the DC shows are top notch. Are definitely the Arrowverse CW DC shows. Those are all. They're not all good. I mean, Supergirl right now is not. Batwoman is. Legends, I wasn't a big fan of it in the first place. Black Lightning seems pretty interesting. I could actually start watching that too. But Arrow and the Flash are just top notch all the way through. I started watching the Flash first, and that's still my favorite DC show. Right now, it's so top notch. Introduced me to the Flash, what he's like, because for a while, he's just fast. So what? I mean, Superman's fast too. So I mean, why do we need that guy? But then I actually started watching the show. I was like, okay, there's actually more to this guy than just him being fast. There's a lot more to him. So it's really interesting character. There's different Flashes too, but the one they focused on in the show is obviously Barry Allen, the most popular Flash. Is very interesting character, very interesting storyline, and the show it is somewhat comic book accurate. And there's definitely a lot of events from the comic books they use, but it does have its own little storyline. It's a very good storyline in how they handle like Barry's character and everything. So definitely recommend y'all checking those out. But I mean, that's where kind of I still love DC overall. I mean, Superman is obviously going to be top notch, and that's what's going to keep DC afloat. It's obviously Superman. But as far as underrated like heroes, it's definitely the Flash is underrated by far, and all that. So that's good. So as far as still again, I like Marvel with DC, but I still love DC. And as far as my top 3 superheroes of all time is definitely Spider-Man, The Flash, and Superman. Those are my top 3 of all time right there. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. I know it's kind of random to talk about that, but what else is here to talk about? I'm not gonna spend all week in these episodes, this particular edition, just talking about the coronavirus stuff. But that's what my weekly show is for, is talking about the news stuff, news or whatever. And then I just like to give a little bit updates on it here, and then talk about something else at the end of it. But that's all I have for this episode. So yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow with whatever other thing I want to talk about. I'll see y'all then. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Rhythm Show, Quarantine Edition. If you enjoyed this episode of the God of Rhythm Show, hit that like button and follow the page to get more content. You can also find me on your favorite podcast listening sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Thank you for listening or watching.